Alrighty, so good morning, class. It's good to see y'all. We're excited to get this going with our sports education season. I'm Mr. Gowan, Tucker Gowan, and this is my colleague, Ms. Colleen Mias, and we're going to be in charge of soccer was our unit for our sport education season, so we're excited to get going. All right, so this is going to be our little overview. We're going to take you through a lot of things today. So our class is 21 class sessions in total, and we're shooting for about 30 to 36 students in all. So we're looking at teams of 3, so there'd be 1 duty team and then 2 active teams participating, and we're going to switch that around, obviously. And then the teams would be about 10 to 12 students on each team, so that way if there's substitutions or absentees, there's going to be a little bit of forgiveness room with that. In addition, we're going to do a dual round robin, so everybody's going to get an opportunity to play everybody in a triangle type way. So there's going to be playoffs at the end, and everybody has an equal opportunity in those playoffs. And then each team is going to be broken down into high skilled and low skilled, and then they can divvy up how they want to play against other high skilled teams, other low skilled teams. And just for the sake of kind of labeling it and not having some type of perspective on that, we just called the high skilled the P team and the low skilled the N team. So just giving them some type of a name, that way they don't have any type of idea about that. And then with the differing number of students, again, like we were talking about, the 2 teams are going to be of 6. So there's going to be 1 goalie, 2 defenders, 1 midfielder, and then 2 forwards. And these roles are all going to be in rotation so that everybody has an equal opportunity to get all those. And then as far as the team of 10 goes, that would be 2 teams of 5, obviously, 1 goalie, 2 defenders, and 2 forwards. And then at the end, such as we did, we're going to have a culminating ceremony with awards for all of our students.
Yep. And then go back just a sec. I just wanted to mention also, if you wanted to, just to account for absences, you could also just keep it 5v5 for like the main competition, so that way you have 2 subs. So we have a rotation schedule that we'll get to eventually, where the timekeeper actually will stop the game at the quarter, half. It stops at half anyway for a break. Yeah. And then at the second quarter or the second half, they'll stop it again so that everyone can have a chance to rotate through. And then also for the ceremony at the end, there's an option I have in the teacher's notes where if you wanted kids to bring in food, if that's okay with your district, you can do that. Just make sure to check for allergies, things like that. But it's also just trying to make it super fun. And it's also a good chance to do a health lesson. You could do healthy food that tastes good, and that can be your challenge to figure out what that is.
All right, so this is a little bit of our official competition schedule. So this is looking at kind of what teams would play each other during interleague play and kind of like scrimmages and days that would count towards the points for everything. So we kind of, whoop.
Oh, here you go. Oh,
whoa,
getting too crazy.
We got a touch screen there
okay.
already. So each one is labeled by who's competing, so that we wanted to make it as straightforward as we could. So the competing teams are labeled here, and then you're obviously going to know which team you're on, whether that's the P team or the N team. And then the duty team's right here as well. So your duty roles are going to be right there. That way you know who needs to be divvied up doing what role. And obviously, you're not going to want to do too much where you're getting confused, so we want to just keep it straightforward there. And then it also says the field and the number of playing time. So the halves are 7 minutes and 30 seconds, like Miss Mias was saying. So there's going to be time to rotate or change roles. That way there's not just burnout with somebody being the goalie every time that they play or somebody always being the forward. You get a different opportunity to try the roles and really understand the skills needed for each individual one. And then we have a little bit of some helpful notes and suggestions. So regarding, certain intra-team roles, there's the fitness trainer, there's the manager, and also adding just any type of diagrams and things to avoid confusion for our students was something that we really wanted to do.
Yeah, we tried to make it as easy as possible. So there's different game formats and different rotations. So there's 15-minute games, and sometimes with like the girls competition and boys competition, we just couldn't fit it all. So we made the game shorter, like 12 minutes. And then there's very clear rotation schedules that the timekeepers will have practice, because we have, before this is official competition. Before this happens, all of the duty teams get a chance to practice, even the reporters and announcers, and we'll get to more of those roles later. And I also included teachers' notes on pretty much any of the schedules, just so that you know kind of a snapshot of what's going on each day. It's really important because it gets kind of crazy, but you kind of learn it with the kids, so I thought that would be helpful.
Question.
Yes.
Can you go back to that slide? Can one of you walk me through day 12? So I come into class.
Yeah, so you come into class, normally what we do is we still have the same warm-up. We have a warm-up each day, that way the students are ready to go and know they're gonna be active.
So you got 2 sessions.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, so like I said, so there's the 2 teams, they're both gonna get an opportunity to play, and
Simultaneously in the same session.
So then the high skilled will play the high skilled, and the low skilled will play the low skilled, and then still you're gonna have team 1, I don't know what happened.
It's
I'm
okay,
not
it keeps doing
savvy
that.
with the board, obviously. But team 1 is there, so team 2, and then team 3. And then, again, we still have the same duty team roles, so team 1 knows what they need to be doing for those. And then right here is where it says what's going on. So there's field 1, a 15-minute game, and then halves are called 7 minutes to 30 seconds. So then you get a 5-minute halftime. So we're just walking through the same way that we kind of did in our sports season. There's 15-minute games, and then switch at halftime, and then you get a 5-minute kind of cool down before the second session starts.
So I see team 1P, 2P, and 3P, right?
Yeah.
They're all on, are they?
So, no. So the,
2 by 6.
yes.
Yeah.
So the number, the team number is the different team, and they'll have different names.
Yeah.
And then,
Yep,
there's
yep.
P and N is skill level.
So team 2 is playing, and they're both on the same team. They're just playing team 3. So that's where we were saying if you wanted, as part of your strategy, you could have the low skill play the high skilled. It doesn't necessarily need to be team 2 high skilled versus team 3 high skilled. It could be team 2, the low skilled, versus team 3 high skilled. So you could kind of flip it around and do whatever you want to do with that. But regarding the teams, it's team 2, team 3, and then team 1. So everybody has an opportunity to do the duty team and play. Yeah. All right, so moving on, this is our official season schedule. So this is taking into account both the team playing and the non-competitive team playing, as Ms. Mias was saying, so.
Yep, so with this, 21 days are over here. I have a lot of days dedicated to practice, and because I really thought it was important to, since it's my first sport ed unit, have the kids learn it with me. So there's a lot of student responsibility here, and I have key student roles and supporting student roles, and the team manager assists with this. Like they become the expert of the schedule, and they help the coach, and they help other players figure out, oh, you're the graphic designer, what are you supposed to do? Like they help kind of facilitate that. And so the key student roles are coaches, equipment managers, and fitness directors, and more of the, I would say more important, like duty team positions, like the timekeeper, scorekeeper, and officials. And then the supporting student roles are going to be student roles that aren't as involved daily, if that makes sense. So there's that. And I also have a part later on in the presentation where it talks about if you have key student roles for like one student, don't give them another really time-consuming role, like a statistician or like a scorekeeper for their duty role. Make sure that they're getting equal time of having something that's more like daily time commitment as opposed to occasionally. So yeah, first 8 days is basically practice. There's two
scrimmage days here.
2 scrimmage days. There's also 2 teacher-directed days where it's a direct instruction, and then if there's time, I think the coaches get to take what they learn and then break off into their small groups. First day, really similar to what we did, create a poster, binder cover, and that's done by our graphic designer. More on the roles later. And then scrimmage days, this is a time for basically the teams to practice with each other. So it's intra-team scrimmages. So that doesn't count for anything, and you're not playing other teams. Practice day 4 is kind of a last little check-in with the coach, that's their, I believe that's...
Coach-directed practice.
Yeah, I think that's their second coach-directed. So that's all coach-directed. Teacher doesn't do anything, just kind of stands back. And then the next day is I switched that. The rules quiz goes first. So on the Excel file that I upload, that will be switched. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so rules quiz goes first, and it's a mix of multiple choice and fill in the blank. And then there's a tactical style quiz where it's fill in the blank. And then we'll get to that later. And then these are the first scrimmages, so it's preseason, but they count. Or wait, let's see. We got one practice day right here. So this is the first time teams get to play each other on day 10. And then they practice the rotation schedule with the 6 players on each team, but there's 5 on the field at a time. Teacher introduces the team power standings. So that's when one of the statisticians, they are in charge. We have 3 because we have so many people on each team. We had to give lots of roles. And with the stats that we were keeping, the statisticians, one couldn't do it, so we had to fill in some roles. So we should make it a little bit easier. But one statistician reports to the teacher daily with their power standings. And then day 11 and 12, these are the first days of competition, and then the competition schedule is here. So you're supposed to refer back every day, and it lines up with the dates over on the left. Then rules quiz, another little practice day. So again, it's giving coaches a chance to kind of assess gameplay, work on, hey, I think the P team needs to work on this, N team needs to work on this. We have an assistant coach, and they basically just assist the coach in, like, if the coach is working with the N team, they'll work with the P team. But they work together to kind of decide on what direction the practice should go. They also have a pretty close relationship with the fitness trainer, and they help design workouts and stuff like that. And that's kind of blurry, but it's all like written out here.
Yep.
So.
And as Ms. Mias is saying, when we get to the duty team roles and some of the intra-team roles, you'll notice how a lot of those kind of work together with another role. So you're always having support and somebody there that's able to work with you. And it's not just your role is something that you're, making all the decisions on. It's based on communication and kind of cooperation with other team members and whatever's going on with your role. So nobody's just on their own working and kind of doesn't really know what the direction of the team is. Everybody kind of collaborates together to make it towards the team identity.
Yep. So like Tucker was saying, the journalist, photographer, graphic designer, and uniform designer all work together, and they write 2 articles, or they work together to kind of form an article. So the first article is kind of preseason, and it's up here somewhere, and then the second one's down here, so after they've completed a competition. Ideally, I'd like to do it at the end, but they're not going to be motivated at the very end to write all this stuff, I feel. So I stuck it kind of, I think, right after or during the all-league girls competition and all-league boys competition. So we decided to kind of make it fun and mix up the teams. So ideally, the teams would be mixed up with equal gender, and then also equal skill. So the all-girls team will represent all skill levels for that particular team, and same with the boys. And then there's a 3-day competition where everybody gets to compete once more. So it's basically a copy of this, but I think the games are longer. We'll have to look at the schedule. Yeah, their games are longer towards the end. And then, yep, just ends right there.
All right, so this is kind of our table of contents that we had as the main thing for our sport education season. So our season schedule, as we kind of just went through the official competition and the season schedule as a whole, looking at those first 21 days. We're going to take you through some of the things such as the team roster, the worksheets that we created, the position rotations as we were talking about for our students when they're actually in game play, the the differentiation between the high skilled and low skilled here, and then we had our game cards and practice cards that we take to record the actual session statistics such as scores, assisted goals, and block goals.
Well, those ones are actually, this is just under the coaches stuff. So this is like practice material for them. Well, the statistics and stuff is under the stats tab.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, and then in addition, as Ms. Mias was saying, we have some helpful resources for our roles, regardless of what the roles are. We wanted to give a little bit of something. So the sample team warm-ups, again, each team is going to have the opportunity to come up with their own. So the second one there, they're going to be able to create their own, and they can kind of do a little spin-off of whatever the sample ones are. Also, the workout and exercises to kind of just get the team moving and build that cohesion. And then as we were talking about the individual statistics, the official score sheets, and the daily team statistics all kind of roll together, and we'll get there. And so we're going to just take you through all this as we go along.
So Tucker already explained that. So here's a few examples of some of the things you will find in the coaches' resources. And again, this is the table of contents of the binder that students get, just to be clear.
Yeah.
There is another, at the end, there's a teacher's resource. It's completely different. So just to make that clear. So team roster, I thought it was really helpful. So the teacher will decide the teams, but the coach is the only one who gets to know like level. So they'll get to see their skill score, gender, and then also to make just team management easier, the team role and the duty role is up there, just so that it's easier to figure out what you need to do. And then this is the position rotation format. So if it's a 12-minute match, this is when timekeepers would call out rotations, 15 and then 20. And then here's a few sample practice cards. So equipment managers, they're different from team managers. Yes?
Go back to the skill test. Nope. So I see that one as the asterisk.
Yeah.
Yep, so you've got you'll do the T-test, Donald's test, and 3v3.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine a skill score from that?
That's later on. Yeah. We'll get through that. We're actually doing that today because Tucker and I thought it was really important for teachers to see how to do the testing.
Yeah.
And then you just do it the day before or a week before. And
You'll walk
yep.
us through how you'll compute the final skill score for each student?
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yeah.
Actually, if you want to take a look, you guys can pass this around. That is what we're doing today. So that's the sheet that teachers have.
Pass that one, yeah. Go ahead.
Pass that one around because
Yeah.
that'll go through. Don't forget about McKinley over here. So,
All right.
yeah.
So-
So I took a lot of time to make the composite skill score because Bryson brought up some really good points about, hey, let's try to work in some tactics in there as well, not just can you kick a soccer ball, can you pass? Because you could be completely just really, really good at agility and really kill that T-test, but maybe you don't have any soccer skills or anything like that. So
Yeah. So actual application of the skills was something that we were looking at as far as for our students and kind of how that will register into gameplay. So moving on, we had the practice cards. So as Ms. Mies was saying, I'll let her take it away.
Yep, so practice cards, these are under the coaches' files, but coaches they have a close relationship with the equipment managers and the fitness trainers. So equipment managers also have some info here that they can look at. So let's say coach wants to do 2v1 keep away. They have a little brief explanation of what they need to do, and then the equipment managers know exactly how they need to set up their field to facilitate that practice. And then also there's 2 pages of troubleshooting for coaches. So let's say they want to develop defensive tactics or they want to work on open space. They can look through that document and then figure out how they want to structure their practices on those open coach practice days.
Yeah, definitely important in that last slide, like you're saying, at the bottom there was the skills. We wanted to put in there the strategy and more of the cognitive aspects as well, not just the psychomotor, because there's a lot of things that these students will have, practice in doing or might not even have any exposure in doing. But if they can understand the cognitive aspects of it, then they're going to have an easier time actually putting those skills into application during gameplay. So.
Yep. And here's Tucker will talk about the fitness resources.
So this is our fitness trainer resource. This is one of the roles where they're getting the team ready kind of before. So again, they're working closely with the head coach of the team and also with the team manager. And so no one person is going unsupported. There's always people and other students around to help them with whatever's going on. So team warm-ups, they're going to create their own team warm-ups. We wanted to have that autonomy for them. That way, not every time they're just coming in and doing the same thing, kind of getting burnt out. Creating their own workouts and exercises and things to kind of practice. So again, we kind of gave them another bit of a sample, and these things can all be kind of just used in rotation. So you could pick one of these from each and then use that in that day's warm-up. And then next time come in, you could pick another one. So you're not just doing the same thing every time, and it's always something that keeps you motivated and activated, ready for workout. And obviously we're doing this to kind of get them ready to go before. So we added a little bit of different aspects regarding what it's playing towards. So to get the heart rate going, obviously they're going to do a little bit of cardio, and then whatever other aspects that they want to work on as far as like stretching, getting limber and ready to go for actual play.
Yeah.
And lower body, and lower body is a big deal in regards to soccer and getting your legs ready to go. So.
Yeah,
sure.
they have a few opportunities throughout the season to create either workouts or warm-ups. They also have default workouts to just pick if they're not the creative type. So I accommodated both types of students. I think they can take it as far as they want, which I wanted them to have that ability.
And then we wanted to also leave a little bit of room for any type of errors or just situational type things. Again, we added that 20-minute, 15-minute, and 12-minute play, but we also wanted to add that to this because they might have only 2 minutes for a warm-up, or they might have 5 minutes for a warm-up, or they might even have just a different situation going on. So having time and being able to know what's going to happen in a certain situation just eliminates confusion for our students, and having it actually physically, like visually able to, look at what's going on and then pick whatever activity they want to do is just super helpful. Just right there, like Miss Mies was saying, it eliminates the confusion for need of creativity. They might be very creative and be able to think things up, but why do that when, you're under a 2-minute time crunch? You can just pick a few activities and get right after it.
Yep. And then on to team roles. So teams of 12 is our kind of default here. So there's the head coach, which kind of works with the assistant coach, just oversees basically how to practice, how to get better as a group. Equipment manager really is just kind of like the behind-the-scenes operation manager, just getting things ready, putting things away, getting clipboards for people, stuff like that. And eventually other students should help with, especially when the duty teams are more active, getting those clipboards and putting them away too. So there's routines that are built into this program as well. 3 statisticians. So this is kind of key to understand about our program. So the first statistician takes the P team individual stats, second one N team individual stats, and then the third one reports the overall team standings to the teacher so that they can keep the power rankings up to date on that board. Fitness trainer, we just went over that. Graphic designer.
These ones all work together.
Yep.
These are more mainly the, outside of the coach and the fitness trainer. These are probably the most important in maintaining and creating the team identity, because they're going to be the ones that are really putting out, whatever they want visually, as far
image.
as like, exactly, like photographs, whatever the journalist wants to write about as far as like the team history or things like that. So we wanted to make as many roles that can be inter-inclusive. That way no one person, again, is just on their own and doesn't know what to do.
Yep. And also accommodating the creative types and maybe ones that aren't so excited about strategy and things like that.
Absolutely.
Also, a word on head coaches. we put in our teachers' notes that don't just pick the most skilled or the most like ambitious students. You can mix those in, but also because of our implicit messages that we're sending students, we don't want them to feel like, oh, I can never be a head coach, even though what if they want to be, but they don't feel like they have the confidence. So mixing that around, maybe even an N team is a head coach, an N team player. So,
And I think the statisticians are a big role as well, because I was the statistician in our team season and there was only two people.
It takes forever.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really is like something that can get really monotonous. And so having other people to support you, again, it's just going to create that transition so much easier and eliminating confusion for our students, especially when, you know, you're only one educator and there's 30 students. If they're all having a question, imagine if you took only 1 minute to do everybody's question. There, you know, wouldn't be any time to do anything. So having a statistician for each individual kind of skill level. So all in all, you know, everybody's going to be able to have somebody to refer to and ask questions to and help. And then obviously there's a hierarchy kind of within this. Go to your head coach before you come to the teacher, you know, or the educator, whoever's in the classroom, you know. Work with your team before you kind of go outside that to get the answers.
and also the team manager, I forgot. Oh, sorry. Do you? They also are in charge of, so they're in charge of the schedule. We talked about that earlier. So they make sure that this team is on that court at this time.
Yeah.
So
So they're working really
Yeah.
right with the head coach.
So, yep. And then duty team roles.
Okay, so these are our duty team roles. There's 12 duty team roles, naturally, as there's 12 students that would be on each team. So we wanted to really get everybody involved and everybody has accountability to add to the team and partake. There's going to be a referee, so this is part of what Ms. Mias was saying about those scrimmage days or certain practice days in the beginning of the season. We want everybody to feel comfortable doing the duty team roles and understand how each role works. So the scorekeeper obviously is going to need to be very well versed with the score sheets and actually know how to, you know, take the stats for the gameplay. The timekeeper is just in charge of watching the time, keeping the rotation down, and knowing kind of what's going on with the play. The scout is somebody who goes over to other teams and can watch them during gameplay and report any type of strategy or weaknesses that they see in relation to kind of playing against them when it comes their time. The announcer is in charge of highlighting key plays or certain situational aspects of the game that could be important for other people to know. So it's also very important that the announcer understands the role or the rules to the game and also understands the roles of the players playing the game. So as far as like what defense and offense goes, things like that. The game photographer is going to be working with the journalist in the inter-team roles, but for this one,
For the reporter.
yeah, they're
separate.
They're
Yeah.
just reporting kind of what happens of the games. So that could be somebody who comes back to all of the team or all the students after it's done and kind of report how the game sessions went, kind of what the score was, certain aspects like that. And then to just maximize the time for our students. If you only have one soccer ball, if you ever kind of been to a soccer game, you know, the ball goes out of bounds, it goes different places, sometimes it gets booted a long way. So we want our students to have maximum participation and success. So that means, you know, trying to get the balls back in play and have them just have as much time to participate as possible.
And also I just realized this, and it's kind of embarrassing, but the way I scheduled the duty teams for the competition schedule at the beginning, you will need doubles of this, So I will make changes to that because I can easily change that to accommodate it. So we could get rid of half the ball retrievers, do 2 scorekeepers, they'll keep track of everything, and then 2 timekeepers. So I apologize for that, but I will make changes so that that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, and again, it's not that big of a problem because each role, again, shouldn't be by themselves, regardless of what it is. You could have 2 people be the announcer, or you could have 2 people be the timekeeper. Regardless, you're going to be intersectional with people, helping them to kind of stay on track and know what's going on.
So who are the soccer experts in here?
I did 2 years of varsity soccer.
Play, right now, granted, we're not doing full-sided soccer.
Yeah.
PE. However, in a traditional game of soccer, how many referees are there?
3.
There's
One
a
middle
lot,
one,
yeah.
and then one on each side.
Now, I don't know, but are there certain positions that referees assume?
Yeah, definitely.
Based on game situation, you are to be here so you can.
One takes the half court and then goes this way, and then one takes the half court and goes this way, and then one's in the middle at all times to kind of position around and follows the game.
So in a situation like this, you could have 2 referees per game.
Absolutely.
And you could cover in the beginning of the season the importance of referee positioning. And that could be part of what you teach.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
That's a
Definitely.
really good
There's a
one.
lot of tactile things that go along with the game, and that's what we really wanted our students to know, that while skill has a place in soccer, also definitely knowing the cognitive aspects is very important, especially with the duty team roles and especially with the inter-team roles to kind of keep them accountable for sure.
Yeah, it's really, it was really helpful when writing these roles for me because like the idea of soccer is pretty basic, but I actually found myself looking up a lot of things to write the rules quiz, and there's actually a lot of little things that you have to know, and
Yeah.
and I was learning when I was doing this, so that was pretty neat. Fair play. So fair play goes into, I'll show you on the score sheet how we rank it, but it's really similar to what you did, the 1, 0, or -1. And those are the criteria.
We really wanted to put in this first aspect of the language and conduct because that was something that we talked about in class that was on our sheets that we weren't really able to mark off points for other students or peers. So putting the best effort obviously really is a part of that, but more so the sportsmanship that goes along with those aspects was something that we really wanted to value.
And then I think I have a score sheet right here. So this is the official score sheet for gameplay. So basically every student has a spot for their name.
Yep.
The G is goals scored, assists,
Assists,
and then goals
goals
blocked.
blocked.
So we're tracking 3 things, which is, I don't know if that's the best, but I felt like I really want, because like if you're not a offensive player, like you
Yeah.
don't like playing that. What
Absolutely.
if you're really good at defense? And then I recognize that as a teacher. So with the 3 statisticians, we could easily keep track of all of the stats. And then here's where you do the fair play. And then this is the criteria. And again, this will be not blurry, but that's the criteria that was on this page.
Yeah.
And then, so team 1, team 2, who versus who, duty team, and then also place the print names and signatures also just to solidify everything. And then this is the individual statistics page. So again, the first and second statisticians will keep it, one will keep the P team, one will keep the N team stats. So runs throughout the whole season. Goals, assists, goals blocked, and fair play is all accounted for. And then this is the grading rubric. So this is what teachers use, but I also included it in the binder, of course, so that students can reference that and if they have any questions. It is quite blurry, so I apologize. But again, we use the same basic concept that Dr. Washburn talked about with the always, consistently, inconsistently, and rarely. And I think it's beautiful. I think I really like rubrics now.
Yeah.
You're sold that to me. Definitely. So, and then also with voting, we just have a ballot part at the very end.
Team ballot. Kind of similar to what we did. We did a intra-team and then across the league. So that way you have input, on your team who you thought really was the most improved or kind of had certain aspects like that, maybe the MVP. And then across all the league would be, again, similar, most improved or, best sportsmanship award could be something that you really value, again, going back to just being a good sport.
And you're open to change these. I put in most creative as well because I have a lot of creative team roles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can change it around to kind of reflect whatever your class is like. Yeah. But don't change it mid-season. You have to do it before you start. And then, so here's the testing. So you want to take this one?
Yeah, so this is what we're going to do today in our actual lesson that we have prepared for you. We're really excited about getting you out there and actually kind of putting this into fruition, what we're talking about in our presentation here. So the first day, this is what you'd want to do. This is kind of the precursor to actually getting everybody broken down into their certain teams and kind of knowing baseline scores for everybody where they fall skill-wise. So the first one's our agility T-test. We've already got it all set up there in the gym, so we'll probably go over it again. But what that is, it's agility, where you start out at the A cone, you go to the B cone, you touch the B cone, you side shuffle. So it's working into account moving forward, different pathways and levels in certain directions. So you're running forward, you're doing a side shuffle, you're side shuffling back, you're touching the cone, and then you're side shuffling over, and then you're backpedaling back. So you're getting a lot of lateral movement in there as well, which happens in soccer. You know, you might have to cut this way, you might have to cut that way. Then our McDonald test is working with the crease of your foot. You're going to be 10 feet away from a wall, and you're going to try to get as many passes to the wall within a 30-second time period. And then the 3v3 was the actual practical kind of movements of everything. So you're taking into account passing the ball, scoring the ball, just moving to open space, certain aspects of soccer. So that kind of shows any knowledge pre-class, and it also shows your skill level more than any of these, probably all in all,
Yeah.
because it shows the agility that you're going to be doing and the passing or a ball control all in one.
Yep.
So yeah, we wanted to kind of get different aspects of the cognitive and psychomotor, again, involved in doing our pre-testing. So.
Yeah, so the agility T-test is more of a football test than excuse me, I'm aware of that. But the reason I chose it is because as a teacher, you want to pick tests that are easy to teach and also really quick to set up. So I'd pick that, and there's similar enough movements. So yeah. And then preseason testing. So this is how we determine the scores. So actually, again, I took the wrong screenshot. That's supposed to be a 10 because for the agility T-test, you get a score of 1 through 3. So, oh dang, I didn't include if you looked on that sheet, I didn't include a snapshot of our testing for this, but basically this table has the 3, 2, and 1. So excellent is above this or less than this certain time. Average is between poor and excellent. And then that's how you would determine the T-test. Again, it's 1 through 3. So 3 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. And then so each student can get a maximum of 10. And they'll fall somewhere in between there. For the McDonald's test, it's a time. So you're going to rank from fastest to slowest, cut the class into thirds, and then 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense?
So if there's 12 students, we would take 4. The first top 4 would be in the first third. The second would be the next 4, second third, and then the last would be the last 4.
And then for 3v3 scrimmages, this is just up to you have to make quick judgments. You might only get 10 minutes to watch these teams play, but I included the grading rubric on this page so you can quickly assess what their skill level is there. And again, it's not the most accurate, but I think it works really well for this, considering you have 2 other tests to help you out. And then, so you just...
Again, the main thing, though, is just making sure that there's an even amount of skilled level and gender, and just take into account basically trying to make the teams as equal and distributed as possible.
Yep. And also keeping in mind behavior issues. So if you have students that work well or don't work well together, keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely.
And this is the grading sheet. So I edited it, and I put the team role, duty role, right by the student name. So when you're going around and making your assessments, you can easily say, okay, Jimmy is a head coach, and he's also a reporter.
Yeah.
So I can see what roles he's fulfilling easily, so I don't have to be like, wait, what is he supposed to be doing? Is he a photographer? Or what is he? So then you can make the duty team role and team role score pretty easily.
And I was going to say, too, this is very similar to the roster. So the team will fill out the roster prior to the season, letting everybody know their role, like Miss Mia said. So actually, you could probably even just take a copy of it, get everybody's team binder, take a copy of it, and then automatically you already have everybody's name and their role, and then you can just mark them off and grade them as needed. And you can even probably make multiple documents for those where you're having them ready. This is the team, this is the week, and then you can just grade them from week to week. You don't have to keep making new documents every time.
Yeah, so this is a sheet that should stay with you the whole season, and you can also kind of mark it up and then not make a final grade till the very end, so you have chances to check on your students. And then, so this is the separate binder that's the teacher resources. It's the last half of the whole giant document that we made. So we went over skills, scoring, we went over grading and assessment. So assigning student roles was a big part. I have a few pages written on, what to consider when you're doing that. And then I have, so the very last part is implementing sport ed. So it's a few just like last words. I really enjoyed the before the season starts in season overview part because that's where I'm at. So I could really identify with, hey, think about this. Like you need to go buy those binders and put all those dividers in there. You need to provide all those all of these supplies. You also need to think of this before this ending ceremony comes. So there's a lot of really helpful tips at the very end. And so make sure you look at that. And then also just how to end the season and teacher's notes and student roles. I just review that one more time because if you remember from the beginning of our presentation, there's those two columns. The schedule that's in the teacher's binder will have the teacher's notes, and obviously the one in the student's binders will have the student roles.
And then again with, we already went over in the 21-day kind of overview, but we were talking about the actual quizzes. We wanted to just keep them accountable and kind of have our students, check for understanding. So looking at certain aspects of terminology as far as midfield line, baseline, sidelines, what a throw-in is, what a goal kick is, what a corner kick is. Those are all sport specific to this game. And just having them actually think cognitively about what certain aspects of the game really mean and kind of what those terms are as in what they apply to.
So is that a fill in the blank?
Yeah, this number
So this
3.
one's just multiple choice, and then these are fill in the blank, and then these are also there for you to kind of, know what
That's the key.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
the terms are, and you can fill them in from there.
So you said don't make these quizzes a joke. So I don't think it's too hard, but maybe depending on the grade level, because you have to know number 2 in order to finish number 3. So I thought that added a kind of a more cognitive challenge. Because if you don't know those lines, then you can't answer number 3.
And then again, obviously, there's extensions and reteaches to even this. You could just, if you wanted to make an extension, you could just lop that off right there. Don't even have the key. So if you're really trying to, make sure that they know the terms, make sure they know the content, you don't
The
even
key
have
is
to
for
add-
us, actually, that I just put it on there, because obviously it gives an answer to number 1. But yeah, the key is mainly for us. But you could, if you wanted to make it easier, you could do like the draw the line thing.
Exactly.
So, and then I think
Yeah.
that's it. We have about 5 minutes left. So do you guys want to go over anything or have any questions?
We're really excited to get you in the gym because that's kind of where most of our time actually takes place. I know a lot of this is, getting you going and understanding, but once the model actually starts going, as we kind of experienced, it's just kind of hitting the ground running. So knowing the team roles and the duty team roles are, I think, the biggest takeaway that you can have from knowing all of our content. Elliot?
The only question I had, which was me, as you had already sort of answered, which was when you have the duty team roles, because you'll need an end group of duty team
Yeah.
roles and also team roles. You'll
Yeah, that's
team half of them.
half of them. So I was thinking, and I actually caught this while I was going through this right now. I was thinking you could take the really essential duty team roles and then just try to make 6 really essential ones and then just double.
Yeah. So you'll have like half,
Yeah.
so we kind of did that too, like the P team and the N team. So that way there's 3 teams altogether, but you can break those teams down into this team's playing here, so half of our team's gonna go there to duty, and then there's another game going on here, half the team goes over here to duty. So like you're saying, you could break those down into just the main vital 6 duty team roles. And then obviously if there ever was a time where we got into large-sided games, we have those roles available, so that way one team isn't just sitting out to the side where there's non-participants, where everybody has a role, everybody's engaged, everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's really a smart idea having your core duty team roles that you need just
Yep.
in case of absences too.
Yeah.
But then some of them, like a ball retriever, you could
Definitely.
But in case you don't have everybody there, it's good to have just the essential ones.
The essentials, maybe 2 of the essentials at least, and then also adding in the referee coaching that or teaching that part into it is really awesome.
And that also takes into account, like you're saying, absenteeism, just certain aspects, if somebody has another, thing that kind of catches up with them, there's a little bit of forgiveness in the unit already kind of engraved in there.
Yep.
So, yeah, any questions? Any more questions? All right.